Hello everyone, welcome to Story Scoop. My name is Deborah Abela and I'm an author. I've written 27 books so far about spelling bees and spies and soccer and World War II and flooded cities and pesky wolves and bears.
And hello, I'm Marjorie and I illustrate picture books. Lately I've been drawing mice and dinosaurs, hippos and bears in space, my favorite.
So Marjorie and I have been friends for a really long time, but in 2015, we went to Taronga Park Zoo in Sydney for a writing and illustrating day. And it was my job to stand at different parts of the zoo and give some creative prompts, including the time that we stood in front of the bear enclosure and we saw this bear here. This bear is called Mr. Hobbs. And one of the creative prompts that I gave was first bear in space.
Yes. And I just love the idea of this heavy bear floating weightlessly in space, just taking in the wonders. So that's what I drew in my sketchbook.
And when I saw this gorgeous sketch that you can see here of Marjorie's, I thought, oh my gosh, I love the way that bear looks so happy. I love that he's floating in space. That's kind of unusual for a bear. So I asked Marjorie, would you mind if I wrote the story of your bear? And she said, sure, why not? So I wrote a story called Bear in Space. And when I sent it to Marjorie, she said, oh my goodness, you've written about my son.
When I read Deb's story, it gave me chills. Meet my son, Kevin. In many ways, he was the inspiration for my version of Bear. He's quirky and analytical and absolutely obsessed with space. Much like Bear, Kevin collected space facts and he compiled them into books. These are some of his drawings, and they may look like random scribbles, but they're actually packed full of space facts.
So as a kids author and a teacher, I work with kids all the time, and I'm kind of always interested in those kids who are different and who see the world in a different way. So when I saw Marjorie's drawing, I actually also thought about these kids because Bear to me seemed different. He was floating in space. It's not where most bears go. So I wanted to write a story that celebrates being different because we're all different. And as my mum used to say to me when I was a kid, if we were all the same, the world would be boring. So Bear in Space is about a bear who feels different and sometimes doesn't quite fit in. And he's also obsessed with space and he loves to read books. So he draws up plans for a rocket and then he blasts into space. And it's there something extraordinary happens.
So when Deb told me she was having trouble figuring out how to end her story, I suggested she try things the illustrator way, which is using thumbnails. And most illustrators use thumbnails to start a book project. And they're very small, scratchy drawings that allow you to experiment with different ideas.
And they're also, for me as an author, such a great way to get inside the mind of an illustrator. And it helps us work out, does the story have a strong beginning, middle, and end? So it actually helped me come up with the ending of the book. And then when we sent it to the publisher, they said, yay, we love it. And the book was contracted.
And once the story's contracted, it's time to turn it into a real book. We had our thumbnails as a roadmap, but now it's time to think about the characters. What would Bear look like? And what would he be wearing? So again, Kevin was my inspiration. When he was really little, he would wear a papier-mâché space helmet, oxygen tanks made out of drink bottles, and some yellow rain boots. And he'd walk around the house in this exaggerated low-gravity moonwalk. And these images show the development from the initial sketch through to color studies or even the final artwork. This is my favorite. I love the idea of Bear in his happy place. You can see I snuck Kevin's drawing of comets into the book.
Even Marjorie's thumbnails are so beautiful, but for me, I just love the way she took those thumbnails, created these beautiful roughs, and then added all that wonderful color. But for me, one of my favorite drawings in the book is when Bear is in space, and you can see the black and white image there, and then you can see the color, and the color just makes it so exciting, and it makes you understand why Bear loves space so very much. But then we had to decide the covers.
So we tossed out a whole bunch of different ideas, but in the end we decided what was important is focusing in on Bear. And so we had Bear on the front cover with his crayons and some indications of his space drawings. and his stuffed animal Laika, which is actually based on this stuffed animal, which was Cavan's.
So Bear is essentially about being different and how it's good that we're all different. Those things that make us different also make us unique. But it's really important to have people who get you and who understand you and who love you just the way you are. If you wanted to find anything else about Bear or me or any of my videos or teacher's notes, you can go to deborahabela.com. You can even write to me if you want to ask me a question about Bear or any of my other books.
If you go to my website, which is crosbyfarrell.com, you can go to the activity page and you'll find some activity sheets, which are coloring in sheets, but also there's a very special build your own rocket sheet. So
yes, and if you cut these bits out of this sheet, you can have whoosh, your very own rocket ship, just like Bear. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for drawing such beautiful pictures. Whoosh.
Thank you, Deb, for writing the story of Bear. I couldn't have done it without you.
And we hope you enjoy it. Bye, everyone.